The Missing PNG Soldier, Part 2.
But what they found wasn't the soldier that they had known. He was barefoot, shirtless, and his clothes were in tatters. His face was gaunt, his eyes hollow. He was severely dehydrated, malnourished, and covered in scratches. But somehow he had survived. After he arrived back in Port Moresby, he stayed in the infirmary for about a week and a half before he was allowed to wander back to the barracks. When he was sitting down at the mass, his company joined him, and when they asked him what had happened, he sat down and began to tell them a story that defied belief. My nephew said it chilled him to his core. This is what the soldier said. The soldier said that on that fateful day, he was scouting the path. He stood near a clearing to rest. The air felt strange, oppressive, like the jungle was alive and watching him. Then out of the corner of his eye, he noticed movement. He turned and saw what he thought was a bird, perched silently on a low branch. But as he stared at it, he realized this was no ordinary bird. It was enormous, easily the size of a large dog, with feathers that shimmered unnaturally. They weren't just colorful. They seemed to pulse with an otherworldly glow, shifting and writhing like they were alive. Patterns swirled across its body in ways that made his head spin if he looked too long. These were not meant for human eyes. The bird's eyes were the most unsettling part. They weren't bird's eyes. They were deep, black voids that seemed to absorb the light. When it blinked, he swore the shadows around him flickered too. The bird didn't move at first. It just watched him. Its head tilted slightly as though it was threatening him. Then without warning, it opened its massive tail. The tail was unlike anything he'd ever seen. It fanned out in an impossibly intricate display, each feather a mosaic of colors and shapes that defied logic. Looking at it felt wrong, like his mind wasn't meant to comprehend it. He knew this wasn't meant for human eyes. And the bird began to move. It shook its tail feathers in a slow rhythmic dance, swaying its body back and forth. Its movements were hypnotic, almost mechanical, and it emitted a low, resonating hum that made his chest vibrate. He couldn't look away. He couldn't move. He said it felt like the bird was pulling him toward it. Though it never left the branch, he doesn't remember discarding his boots or even his feathers. He doesn't remember walking off the path. All he remembers is the bird and its terrible, beautiful feathers. He followed it deeper into the jungle. Though it never seemed to actually fly, it was always just ahead, its shimmering tail guiding him like a beacon. He walked for what felt like hours, until the bird just vanished into the shadows. When it was gone, he realized he was utterly alone, the jungle closing in all around him. But he wasn't scared. That was the strangest part. He felt oddly calm, even serene. The jungle felt like it was embracing him, whispering to him. Though he couldn't understand the words, he could hear them in his mind. For weeks he wandered. He survived eating only tree bark and drinking rainwater from leaves or puddles. He doesn't remember much of the time. Just the bird. Always the bird dancing in his mind. When he was finally found, he said it felt like only moments had passed. He didn't understand how so much time had slipped away. As he told his story to my nephew, tears rolled down his face. He smiled, but there was something broken in his eyes, something that would never heal. That's what my nephew thought. After that incident, the Defense Force decided he was unfit for further patrols. My nephews told me that they've been extra vigilant during these exercises ever since, especially in that zone. They never let anyone scout alone anymore, always in pairs. I think it's a reminder that in the jungles of Papua New Guinea, There are things far older and far stranger than we can comprehend today. Our Tumbunas knew, our ancestors knew. While some of you may dismiss these stories as pure superstition, the rest of us, well, we know better. You see, the jungle is alive, and it watches, and sometimes it takes. So if you ever find yourself in the jungle, remember, if you gaze into the abyss will gaze back into you.